Once you create a chart, you can change everything about it, from the type of the chart to the various elements that will or will not be visible. I'm not talking about formatting these elements. I have covered formatting in the previous lesson. I'm talking about adding or removing elements of the chart. For example, the chart title is visible in this chart. I might want to remove it or so that it is not visible at all. Notice that the legend of the chart is not visible. I might want to add it to the chart. In this lesson, I will show you how you can add or remove chart elements and how you can change the chart type. I will start with the chart type. The chart here is currently a column chart. I want to convert it into a line chart and specifically into a line chart with markers. I will click inside the chart to select it and then go to the chart design tab. Here in the type palette, I will click the change chart type button, and in the window that opens, I can either choose a different kind of chart of the same type, meaning here I could select another column chart, or I can completely change the type of the chart. For example, I will click on the line chart, and from the different kinds of charts, I will select the line chart with markers. I should mention here that depending on the data presented by the chart, some types of charts may not be available, or if you try to select one, you might get an error saying that the data cannot be represented by this type of chart. I don't want to elaborate on this because it's a subject I cover in my advanced level course of Excel. Just know that if it happens, it's because the selected area from which the chart tries to derive its data can't be represented by the type of chart you chose. Since I don't have such a problem here, I will click OK, and my chart is now a line chart with markers. With the same logic, I can change it to any other type of chart. Just use the chart type button from here. At this point, I want to show you a very specific formatting that concerns 3D column and bar charts. So I will change the chart type using the chart type button and select the columns type and the 3D clustered columns chart, and I will click OK here. I will right click on a column, and from the menu I will click format data series. That's the same thing I did in the previous lesson, so I'm just formatting something here. Now I can change the shape of the column, and this is very important, very interesting, because I can select a different shape, and I will select, for example, the full cone shape here. This formatting can only be done in 3D column and 3D bar charts, and the logic is the same as what you saw in the previous lesson. That is, I display the panel of available formatting options, and I have these options here. And for bar charts and column charts that they are 3D, I have these shapes here that I wanted to show you. I won't talk about other formatting, but this was a formatting that I wanted to show you. That's why I did it. I will close the panel with the X, and I want to talk about the chart elements now. As you saw in the previous lesson, a chart consists of many different areas, many different elements. These elements can be visible or not visible. I have two ways to show or hide the chart elements, to add or remove them, I could say. So whenever I say show or hide or add or remove, it's the same thing. One way is from the plus tool here, located here on the top right of the chart. This tool appears only when the chart is selected. I will click outside the chart so that you can see that this tool does not appear anymore. So I will click again inside the chart and it appears again. I will click the plus, and in the list that appears I can see which chart elements are visible at this moment and which are not. For example, the axis, the chart title and the grid lines are visible, but not the legend and the data labels. I will click the plus sign again to close this list, and in the chart design tab and the charts layout palette I will click on the add chart element tool. From this list, I can choose which elements of the chart will be visible and which will not be visible, but here I have more options than the ones I had from the plus sign in the chart. Note that the elements that appear inactive are elements that you cannot use for this type of chart. That is, each different type of chart can display only a specific group of chart elements. So the plus sign and this button do the same job, but from this button I have more options. I will click the axis option and notice that both the horizontal and the vertical axis are visible. I understand they are visible because the icons buttons appear selected. I will move to the legend, and here I see that none is selected, so the legend is not visible. In this lesson, and generally in the series of lessons for the basic level, I'm interested in elements that concern the chart title, data labels, and the legend. And for this, I want you to be able to do basic things like showing or hiding these elements or changing their position. Those who attend my advanced level series of Excel will learn in detail about all the chart elements and how they work. Let's start with the chart title. I will go to the chart title option and select centered overlay. Now the chart title is in front of the chart area, whereas before it was above it. I will click the plus on the chart and move the mouse to the chart title to make this arrow appear on the right. And now I will click on this arrow and see that I have the same options here. I will click above chart and you can see the difference in the chart itself. All these options, in all these options, there is always a choice at the end that allows me to define more things. I will click here on more options and a panel opens from which I can format and adjust everything concerning the chart title. It's the same panel you saw in the previous lesson. So from here I can format things for a chart element that I have made sure is visible. I will close this panel and now I will show you how to change the title inside the chart, the text inside the chart, the title. The process is relatively simple. I will click inside the chart title and use backspace to delete the text, and I will type another title, for example, yearly sales in its place. And now that I have typed it, I will click outside the title to finalize the entry. Apart from the chart title, there are two other titles concerning the two axes. From the Add the Chart Element tool, I will open the Axis Titles option and click Primary Horizontal. Now a new text box appears, which is the title of the horizontal axis. Let me make a small parenthesis and say that the axes are called primary because they are. There's also the possibility of secondary axes, but those are part of the advanced level material. I will click on the text of the axis title and use backspace to delete the text and write, for example, months in its place. So this is what I want to be the horizontal axis title. With the same logic, I will click the Add Chart Element tool again, Axis Titles and Primary Vertical. Now I will click again on the text box and use backspace to delete the text. It might seem a bit strange because it has a vertical orientation, but it's the same thing, just the text is rotated by 90 degrees. For example, here I will type sales in euros because this is what this axis represents in this chart, and I will click on the chart to finalize the entry. Let's now look at the data labels that we can add as element of a chart. From the Add Chart Element tool, I will go to the data labels, and here there is only one option, so I will choose data callouts. Now these labels display the category and value for each point of the chart and for each column. The name of the month is the category and the amount is the value. However, for the data labels, let's also look at the more options available. From the Add the Chart Element tool, I will go to Data Labels and select More Data Label options. The panel on the side is the formatting panel for the data labels. It's the same panel that would open if I chose to format the labels in the way I have done it in the previous lesson. Here I will deactivate the category name, so only the value remains. Data labels have other options depending on the type of the chart, especially in pie charts, and I'd like to see them. I will close this panel and click the Change Chart Type button. I will go to pie charts and leave this simple two-dimensional pie chart and just click OK here. I will now open the Add the Chart element tool. First, notice that the options available are not the same because now I have a pie chart. I will go to Data Labels, and now from here I have more options. For example, I will click Outside End, so all the labels now are shown out of the pie. From the Format tab in the current selection palette, I will open the list with the areas and select the Series 2020 data labels. Be aware that this option wouldn't exist if the labels were not visible. So I have to make them visible first in order to be able to format them. I will now click Format Selection, and the formatting panel for the labels appears. I did it from the Format Selection tool to show you that this is the same panel. That is, when I click on more options for a chart element, then the formatting panel for that element appears. It's not something different. Now I will activate the percentage label and deactivate the value. So let me also activate the category name. I can do whatever I want here as far as the formatting is concerned. Okay, great. Let's now move on to the last chart element of interest, the legend. I will close the panel, and from the Chart Design tab, I will open the Add the Chart element tool and select the legend here. I will choose to place it on the right, so now I have my legend displayed. Of course, I can also format this in the same way as with all chart elements. I will go to the Add the Chart element tool, and this time for the legend, I will click More Legend Options, and the formatting panel for the legend opens. The important thing in all this is to understand the logic. That is, to understand that the chart consists of many individual elements, many individual areas. As I said, the elements and areas are the same thing. You can add or remove these elements from the Add the Chart element tool. For example, I will go to the data labels and click None, so the data labels are not visible right now. For every visible element of the chart, you can make more formatting with the process you saw in the previous lesson and through the more options that are available in the chart, in the Add the Chart element tool. That's all for this lesson. Thank you for watching.